going to talk about increases in secondaries because some, definitely not most, few veterans reach 100% from BDD claim process, especially now because all the OG post 9/11 people are now getting out. Like your retirees today are probably leaving with 100% no issues, right? Because they got 3, 4, 5, 6 pumps, Afghan, Iraq, Syria, Somalia, wherever. Um, those BDD people probably have an easier time getting 100%. A little bit more people reach 100% after that 1 year of discharge if they understand what they need to submit within that 1 year, which most people that I talk to don't even know about VA disability until years later. Maybe they see an ad on Facebook, and we won't even go down that road, right? Or they see a YouTube video and they're like, oh, I served, let me see what this is about. And so now we're talking about everyone after that 1 year. This is 1 year and 1 day, all the way to 20, 30 years being out of service, right? So me, I'm 32. Jason is, how old are you?
50.
50. So
You're welcome.
both of us now fall into this, right? My friend who just got out about a year and a half ago, he also falls into this category. So if Jason were to submit a claim right now, it's the same process as if I were to submit a claim. And the big three becomes critical here. There is no service connection without the big three. Let's just put it that way. Okay. And I'm going to talk about direct here. You have to have evidence from service. And during that back explanation I gave during 1 year, a lack of medical evidence for me was easy because of time frame. That's gone. I guarantee you right now, let's say I submit, my knees aren't service connected, but I definitely have some knee issues and a diagnosis of those. If for whatever reason I go to submit that knee claim, I would be willing to bet my wife's life, not me, right? I would bet my wife's life that my knees would be not service connected, although the information and the basis is the same as my back. It would not be service connected because of time frames, right? So although you see a deteriorating disease, I've also been out for 5 years. And so, yes, it's chronic, but the CMP examiner without medical evidence is not going to give a favorable nexus. That's going to lead me to maybe look at a secondary, maybe go get us a Nexus Letter. And so that's the situation that most veterans find themselves in. So I wanted to set the stage, Jason, and kind of give a common example of a musculoskeletal condition without medical evidence. Go ahead and take it from there. What do you have to say about literally everyone else?
It's a steeper hill to climb, right?
Yeah.
And what we all have our little sayings that we say to try to give a visual picture, right? So what you need when we're talking about, or at least what I think of when we talk about the requirements for a service connected award, right, is 3 things. You have to have your time in service. That gives you that window of opportunity, right? Entry date, exit date. Next is your diagnosed condition, has to be chronic in nature or have some sort of residual effects. And third is the nexus. Well, what's happening here is we talked about how the nexus is automatic if you're getting diagnosed during your time in service because the date is in your time in service. What the VA is looking for with nexus is essentially show me, the VA, that your condition either manifested during your time in service or is a result of your time in service in some sort of fashion. Now, this is barring presumptive conditions because they eliminate the nexus for you.
Mm-hmm.
So all the other conditions are there. And so when you need to build a nexus in this proof, there's different avenues that are going to happen, right? So this world is so nuanced. We talk about it all the time. You're going to have different levels of veteran, right? You're going to have a veteran who, yeah, I got diagnosed for migraines when I was in, right? When I was, as 3 months before I got out, I got diagnosed for migraines 30 years ago. I just didn't know that I could file for migraines because I thought disability was only for injuries, not migraine. Wow, I can file for migraines? Yes. Gather up all their stuff, bam, diagnosis for migraines back then, a current diagnosis that just shows that he still has it just for an extra little, stamp on there. And boom, you file it and off it goes. Boom, service connected, easy, easy. Okay, that's one. Another veteran would be, we'll go kind of in the middle. All I did was, yeah, I had migraines the whole time, never went to medical because I didn't want the repercussions, but I did on my physical health assessment, check the box that said headaches, and then it said add more information at the bottom. Yeah, I get migraines once a week, and that's it. Okay, not a diagnosis, self-attesting to the problem. Okay, cool. Go to your doctor, have that conversation with your doctor, get your diagnosis, get your Nexus letter from that doctor, using that as rationale, your own statement, maybe a buddy statement to really just double it down, make it super solid and tight so it's easy for the VA to say, yes, cool, you're moving on with the service connection. Lastly, Clay, is probably the bulk, right? Yes. I could have written down on my physical health assessment all of my problems. But then I had to explain them in blocks, in box 37C, I had to explain each one that I said yes to. So instead, I just said no to everything so I could be done and get out of there and go, whatever. So now you have zero documentation in your file. And that's going to be a lot of folks. And that's a sad situation, right? I wish that this stuff was explained up front. And I guess that's what we do here, right? It's really trying to expand the message out to folks. But there's two things that are happening here. One, folks that are in, we're handing it to you here to make sure that you document things you need to. For folks that are out and have been out for multiple years, don't self-segregate out. It's just a steeper hill to climb. You have to build a bridge back to your time in service, building that nexus. Okay, you need to tell a story. You need to write your own letter explaining whatever it is. I like to use like headaches, migraines, just because it's an easy one to kind of explain, and a lot of people have migraines. Is, for migraines, there could be several things. One, you might be able to tie some of it and have this conversation with your doctor. Maybe you were artillery. Maybe you were mortars. Maybe you had your head next to, a tube all day long going off. Maybe you were a fueler, sniffing jet fuel, all the time. That's probably not good, I would think. So if there's some sort of a correlation, I'm guessing, maybe have that conversation with your doctor, at least as likely as not level, right? So MOS or AFSC could be a potential for rationale on a Nexus letter, tying it back to your time in service. You writing your own letter, attesting to the fact that you had migraines, that you would go to your medic or your corpsman, get a handful of Motrin, move on. Migraines are a good one because most people just kind of deal with it. They self-treat, they go to the grocery store, they get Excedrin or whatever. These companies wouldn't be making money and in existence if it weren't for migraine sufferers out there buying their migraine pills, right? So it's not uncommon. So you tell the story. I would just go and I would get it from this and I would get it from that, and I go to the store. Then anybody that that you served with, if you do, great. If you could find somebody that could write you a buddy statement, oh yeah, I remember I always had migraines, whatever. Awesome. Have them write you a letter. Family members, have them write you a letter. I know it starts to feel like overkill, but the more avenues that you can do, the better off for your claim. I've said it before, Clay, treat it like it's $1 million deal, because it is. And then if it gets denied for some reason at the VA level, at least at BVA, they're going to look at it a little more thoroughly. But I do believe, Clay, that, and then I'll kick it back to you, that in these situations, we as veterans are probably better off now than we've ever been before, because of the spotlight on the benefit of the doubt rule, which is a real rule that if the VA says that the evidence is in equipoise, equal on both sides or close to it, they're supposed to rule in your favor. The Supreme Court took on the case. We've talked about it before, Clay, and I think that there's already ripple effect from that. That's going down through the upper court, lower court, and then into the VBA even to some extent. So I think that providing more lay type evidence, telling the story, getting family members, finding a buddy or two or three, just the more the better when it comes to that. Take your time, file your intent to file, and document and develop your claim. Back to you, Clay.